Welcome inside Gillette Stadium, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia, joined as always by Patriots expert columnist for WEEI.com, Christopher Price. Following a 27-10 Patriots win over the Redskins, they improved to 8-0. But Chris, was it really a costly win? That, I think, is what every Patriot fan is wondering. After Dion Lewis went down with what appeared to be a left knee injury, he did not return. The Patriots lost Sebastian Vollmer, their, I think, third starting left tackle of the season so far this year, and it was Cameron Fleming who had to move over to left tackle for the first time in his career. But seriously, the losses of Dion Lewis and Sebastian Vollmer with a head injury going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they respond. Look, like you said, they're on their third left tackle already at this point in the season. We're only halfway home. And so I want to see how that group holds up. It was interesting to see Brian Stork move from his traditional interior spot to a tackle spot, playing some right tackle. It's good to see that level of positional versatility. I think you're going to need to see more of that going forward, particularly if Shaq Mason and Trey Jackson are available. There are going to be guards now going forward. If both of them are healthy, and you're going to see more Stork out on the tackle spot. There's a reason that the Patriots go after these offensive linemen who are versatile and who can play multiple spots, and we're seeing it now. We're seeing guys play out of position, at least out of their traditional position, with Stork moving over to the tackle spot. I think the bigger question right now from an offensive skill position standpoint clearly is Dion Lewis. Their early reports, very early reports, seem to indicate that it is an MCL sprain, which would mean 4 to 6 weeks on the shelf, and he would be back sooner rather than later. If it's anything more serious than that, you have to start to worry about the overall structure of the offense. You're going to put more on the shoulders of guys like James White, more on the shoulders of Brandon Bolden, who I thought did a pretty good job in the fourth quarter of this game. But, yeah, you win the game. It's great. You moved to 8-0. At the same time, you're going to be forced to deal with some new injuries going forward.
Tom Brady joked after the game, Chris, that he doesn't know when the decision exactly was made to have Cameron Fleming move over to left tackle, but as in the end, he's glad that it worked out the way it did, and he just called the play of the offensive line unbelievable given what was swirling around the team. So that is a positive, certainly, to take from this game. Go ahead, Chris.
And the other thing, too, that's important to remember, talk to a couple of guys in the locker room who said that Brady was the guy who kind of calmed everybody down after going through those injuries and saying, look, we're going to take care of it. We're going to get through this. This is what we have to do. This is what we have to do to execute. This is what we have to do to win this football game. A lot of guys gave credit to the quarterback. I think that's worth throwing in there.
Absolutely. And now something I think is worth mentioning is the play of the defense. Yes, they were taking on a Washington Redskins team that couldn't get out of its own way in the first half, but the Patriots, truth be told, couldn't get out of their own way. There was a Julian Edelman fumble. There was a Tom Brady interception, and the Patriots were making mistakes, couldn't fully capitalize of the ineptitude of the Redskins.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And we've said that a couple times over the course of the year where the defense has been able to pick up the offense through some difficult stretches. Look, difficult's a relative term, but I think that it's important to see times where the Patriots defense, they're able to force 3 and out. They're able to swing the momentum back in the other direction. They did that on multiple occasions today. I thought the play of Chandler Jones, who continues to be very impressive off the edge. We talk about positional versatility along the offensive line. Chandler Jones moved over to nose tackle a couple times, was out on the edge. The ability to get after the quarterback, the ability to force some bad throws from Kirk Cousins, the ability to force some turnovers. I think that played a huge role this afternoon. It all goes into it, too. This defense, particularly the front seven, right. We're seeing improved play across the board, but this defense is really helping this offense on occasion when they need it.
And the Patriots had to play this game. It's certainly worth mentioning without arguably their best linebacker in Jamie Collins, certainly their most dynamic linebacker in Jamie Collins. He's one of their very best playmakers. How did you think Jonathan Freeney did in his absence?
It was touch and go. I mean, look, Jamie Collins is maybe the best playmaker on this team defensively and one of the best young playmakers in the AFC, at least in my opinion. So there were moments where they clearly missed Jamie Collins, and I think it's obviously in the Patriots' best interest to get him back sooner rather than later. That being said, this strikes me as one of those things where it's like, all right, look, we roll the dice. We sit him this week. He's going to be good to go for next week against the Giants. So you get Collins back. You get the rest of that defense where it needs to be. I think the defense is going to be good, at least good enough to play good complementary football the rest of the way.
No Gerard Mayo. Chris, what does this say about a veteran who's not only been a playmaker but a leader in that locker room for so long, since 2008?
Well, I think he continues to be a leader in the locker room. I just think he's transitioned to a different stage in his career, and you don't want to look too far down.
But not playing at all?
No, not playing at all. I'm as surprised as you are. And I will say this, when you look at Jamie Collins and you look at Gerard Mayo, they feel two very different responsibilities. I was more surprised earlier in the year when Dante Hightower didn't play and we didn't see more from Gerard Mayo. But yeah, this is where we are with Gerard Mayo at this stage in his career. So He's still a well-respected guy in the locker room. He doesn't play nearly as much as he used to, but Bill has talked about it in not years past, but weeks past. He's still contributing to the team on whatever level you want to point to.
You mentioned something before we started recording here, and that is the fact that this is a first in NFL history with at least 3 8-0 teams. Really remarkable. The Patriots and the Bengals. The Bengals were first 8-0. The Patriots and the Carolina Panthers joining that group, and Denver Broncos could make it there as well. What does it say to the top heaviness of the AFC and of the NFL?
This is something we talked about before, where the chasm between the haves and the have-nots in the National Football League right now has never been more dramatic, at least in my mind. You have really 7 or 8 teams at this point that you can put on a short list as true Super Bowl contenders, and the rest of they're just playing for a draft pick at this point, quite frankly. And we're only halfway through the year, and I think it's going to get more dramatic as the year goes on, and we're going to start to see more teams start to separate themselves from the rest of the pack. But that's kind of referencing what we were talking about before. That's where we are with the NFL right now, in a league that is designed with parity in mind, with the balanced scheduling and the salary cap and all that, designed to bring everybody back to the middle. You have 6 or 8 teams, like you said. It's a top-heavy league this year.
And I want to go back to the offensive line for a moment, because it's something I think a lot of people are going to be talking about. Fans are going to be questioning why exactly, given the Patriots' state of the offensive line, they only dressed 6 offensive linemen today.
Well, because you have a couple of guys who can be versatile, and I think that's the biggest thing. And then you also have, fundamentally, look, Mike Williams calls himself a tight end.
Correct.
He's a tight end on the roster, but he's a tackle, and he plays like a tackle. He's certainly not out there for his pass-catching skills. So I think you have to figure that into it as well. And for all the talk we do about how good the offensive line has been this year, let's also remember that Tom Brady can be his own best offensive lineman more often than not. No one does a better job of sensing pressure in the pocket. Nobody does a better job of moving in the pocket when he needs to, and no other quarterback does a better job when it comes to getting rid of the football as fast as possible. So all of that figures into it. Look, I know the idea of dressing only 6 offensive linemen seems a little bit weird and a little bit scary, quite frankly, to some Patriots fans, but you have to look at it outside the box a little bit, and I think that's one of the things that the coaching staff does.
Early second half, Chris, I think there was an example of that exact situation of Tom Brady. He had Julian Edelman open over the middle, it looked like, for a split second, but then a defensive line popped up. He made 2 other reads and then came back to Edelman after stepping up in the pocket, completed a key 24-yard reception, and kept a drive going for the Patriots' first points of the second half, ending in a field goal. The Patriots wrap up a victory. That's really, Chris, all that matters in the end, besides the injuries. They improved to 8-0, beating the Washington Redskins by a score of 27-10. Next up, the New York Football Giants. A week from today, down at MetLife Stadium, the Patriots wrap up their 3-game homestand with a victory here over the Washington Redskins. He is Christopher Price. I'm Mike Petraglia, inside Gillette Stadium, WEEI.com.